Hey everybody, it's Coach Felicia. Happy Friday. I hope you guys had a wonderful week. Whether your children went back to school, college, whatever, maybe you went back to school, or your partner, significant other, whoever, or maybe it's just a different change of life and you're finding it more difficult to cook for yourself or to plan and strategize how to stay on your meal plan, whether you're with a coach or whether maybe you're not with a coach anymore and you're just looking for some helpful tips and tricks. I am here to help you today. So as you get this notification, give me a hi, give me a hello, because I definitely want to connect with all of you. I'm actually going to be doing some meal prepping presentation so you can actually see what I'm doing and how we're going to go over the myths and pitfalls and things that you might be like, oh, I can't do it because of X, Y, and Z, or oh, it's just too much. I don't want to have to dedicate an entire Saturday or a Sunday. I just don't have, the day to do that. So, or maybe you're like, oh, I don't want to eat the same two things all week. Well, today we're going to learn some extra tips and tricks to keep that from happening and also go over a few myths about meal prepping. So, meal prepping myth number 1 I'm going to cover is meal prepping means eating the same exact thing over and over again. It's so boring, da-da-da-da-da-da. Maybe that actually excites you. Maybe you're a creature of habit. But for most of us, and if we have family members, we're not interested in eating the same thing every single day, okay? But no, that is a myth. Number 2, the myth is you have to dedicate a whole weekend or a whole day in meal prepping, and I just don't have the time or effort. Wrong. As someone who does not want to live in the kitchen because I have 3 children and we're running around, I do not live here. Contrary to people's belief, I do not. So that's myth number 2. Number 3, it's expensive. It can be if you want it to be. However, as someone who is very conscientious of food prices all over, I will tell you that I find ways to make things very manageable. I find ways to make it very easy for people to feed their families without overextending the budget because, my husband's a teacher, okay? So yeah, that's one. And then number 2, I have 3 kids and I want to feed them as healthy as possible, but I have to find ways to not overextend, but also make sure that the food doesn't go bad. So myth number 3 is it's expensive, and no, only if you choose it to be, okay? The last myth we'll cover is it has to be perfect or it won't work. No. If there is something that we try to hone in week over week besides protein and water is you do not need to be perfect, because guess what? None of us are. We tell that to our loved ones. You're not perfect. It's okay. So give yourself that same grace. You can get off the meal plan a little bit. We might have to pivot. You might open up your container one morning and go, oh yeah, that's not happening today. What am I going to do? We are going to prep for worst case scenarios, give you different ways to be successful, okay? So what are the pitfalls of meal prepping? And I mentioned a few of them, but prepping too much at once. I'm going to give you guys, after today, I'm going to give you a sheet of Meal Prepping 101 that V-Shred has already made. And I'm going to show you how long certain foods can be in the fridge before they go bad, especially protein. This is something that I religiously talk to my family about. Do not hide food in the back of the fridge. We need to keep it in the front and label it with dates so we can make sure that food is not going to waste. It's not going close to the expiration date. And then once we make it, put a nice little sticky note, little label on it, what it is, when it was cooked, so that way you know if it's fish, if it's seafood, you got at most 2 days, okay? If it's turkey, chicken, at most 3 days. And for me, beef, at most 2 days. It does not stay in our house long anyway, but just make sure you find ways to label everything. Label, do not throw out. When I have to throw out food, I nicely sit my entire family down, including my wonderful husband, and say, what is our rule? Because that is just a non-negotiable, that's like a cardinal sin in our household, okay? So no wasting food. Another common mistake is when you're meal prepping, you might forget snacks. And I will give you lots of tips and tricks of what type of snacks you want to have and ones that are doable, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a nurse, whether you are mom, dad, grandparent, doesn't matter. Snacks are still very important to stabilize your blood sugar, keep your metabolism going, and help you from being high and low and crashing throughout the day. Forgetting flavor. Do not forget. I'm gonna go over some of these today, okay? Season your food. Make Gordon Ramsay proud, okay? There is nothing wrong with salt and pepper and some flair and some flavoring, okay? Another pitfall of meal planning is, like I said, along with the expensive, we're also talking about overcomplicated recipes. No. You can have delicious gourmet flavor type food without reinventing the wheel, without being on Pinterest for hours and finding these elaborate things. Or God bless my husband, he'll send me recipes that come up on TikTok or Facebook and be like, what do you think about? And I'm like, I like your premise. I can dial this back by 15 steps and 12 ingredients and it'll be just as good, and it is, okay? We want to revamp and rethink, meal prepping equals future success. That is the whole point of meal prepping. So that way you're not wandering aimlessly around the store and it's been 5-6 hours since you've eaten and you're grabbing everything in sight, or you buy all the healthy food while you're at the store, you come home and then you're door dashing. Who has been guilty of that? Okay. So top meal prepping hacks, and we're going to cover these live in a little bit. Basics, okay? So I'm going to move my camera. I don't have a camera person. I need to get one of those, right? I'm a huge advocate for sheet pan meals. I just really want to go over like breakfast, lunch, and dinners, but simple basics, sheet pans, freezer-friendly foods, because my kids don't go through veggies very quickly, so I will get frozen veggies, I will get fresh veggies depending on the frequency of how often we use them. I'll do shortcuts, different things like that. I'll use my air fryer, my slow cooker. Like, I use a plethora of different tools just so I don't always have to be at home. Like, I can throw a pot roast in the slow cooker and run to soccer on Saturdays, come back, Penn State's on, my husband wants to hang out, we already have food done. So little hacks like that. Throwing in some potatoes, you can get things like that. But just keep it simple. Don't reinvent it. One thing, or a few things that you're gonna wanna have, sorry, I better make all my towels, is you're gonna wanna have a food scale. Food scale is going to be queen, because when you get your proteins, obviously, they're gonna have the weight on it. However, when this is cooked, you're losing 25% of it. So while you're making all of these meals and you want to parcel them out, you need to make sure that you're getting at least 25 grams at every meal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner in creative ways, and a snack. So keep it simple, do the sheet pans, things like that. Use shortcuts, double cook. If I'm gonna have this for lunch today, right? I can half this and I can double it and have it for lunch tomorrow. Put it in my little peanuts container. I just got these for my son. Add the veggies, measure the veggies. I love a great variety of vegetables. I'm a sucker for sweet pepper. I'll do some roasted pepper. I'll do some broccoli. I'll toss it with some olive oil, salt and pepper, throw it in the oven, boom. Same thing with the steak. I might actually just throw that on the grill outside, depending on what my day looks like and how hot it is, okay? So double cooking is gonna be excellent. So that way you're not stuck with 7 to 10 of the same meal. Just do two at a time for you. And then for dinner, you can find ways to make it in a large amount, but you're already set for lunch the next day. You're not worried about you. All right, so snack stations, pre-portion. You can get little meat and cheese boxes. I had a bag of Chomps I was gonna show everybody. Unfortunately, we ate them all already. We're huge fan of Chomps in here, but something like that, trail mix, yogurt, cheese sticks, grab and goes. One thing, if I don't have, so like you guys can see back here a little bit, I have my station of Sculpt Nation protein, greens, creatine, and my little baggies. Sometimes though, I'm not always able to go and grab my shaker bottle. As much as I would love to say it's always on hand, or sometimes I forget to wash it and I have to buy a new one. I mean, we've all been guilty trainers of that. So I keep these stocked in my fridge. They are 30 grams of protein. It's 190 calories. There's, it's lactose free, which is nice for my stomach. There are 12 grams of carbs. And then total sugar is 6. It's nothing crazy, but I really prioritize the protein and help stabilize my blood sugar. I like to have these on hand, like I said, so that way I am not going to grab random other things, have it on hand, trail mix. But do yourself a favor. Do not haphazardly grab things. You need to make sure that they're measured. You need to make sure that you're keeping an eye on how much you're having, because those things can stack up very quickly. All right? Family involvement. My calendar's not there at the moment, but I will have like a weekly calendar of what meals mom is making. I ask them on Saturdays before I go to Costco, or I'll do like a delivery from groceries, whatever. I'll tell them, hey, Tuesday, Thursday we have soccer. This is what the meals mommy's gonna have. Is that good? Yes or no? Different things. So I get their involvement. I'll be like, hey, who's in the mood for, what protein? What do we like? So I try to involve them. Now listen, my firstborn's gotten better, but she's never going to ask me for Brussels sprouts. She's never going to ask me for certain vegetables or certain proteins. And that's okay. Meanwhile, my middle child is going to be like, do you have avocado? Because she will take avocado. And whether it's on avocado toast for breakfast or she's dipping it with her peppers, I keep those on hand. So involve your family, involve your significant other. If it's just you, c'est la vie. Anything goes. Enjoy it. But definitely make sure that you have a variety and you have fun with it. Okay? Again, this is focusing on back to school, so we're going to keep it focused on that. Some things that I have grabbed, because I'm not waking up, and this might be terrible, I'm not waking up and I'm not making eggs first thing in the morning with trying to get 3 kids out the door. I have a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 9-year-old. On the weekends, sure. Bougie breakfast on the weekend, love that. Casserole, whatever. But for my household, there's a few things that are really key essential. I showed you the avocado. Okay, we make avocado toast, and then I put everything bagel seasoning, which is in there. Another great thing, if you don't want to make from scratch pancakes and waffles, which I do love. I have the Kodiak powder in my cabinet, but again, during the week, I'm opting for these bad boys, okay? So 2 of these waffles have 12 grams of protein. Not high enough for you to have as your only protein source, but for children, for people who are just trying to get out the door, these are awesome. I love these. I also will pair that nicely, and maybe this is you. Maybe you're like, Felicia, I eat like a kid. This is great. Everyone's at different levels, so take a little bit what you can take from today. You could pair 12 grams of protein from this, and you can pair it with 10 grams of protein from this, okay? Get you up to 22 grams of protein. So this is a nice little, and it's around 500 calories for both. You go, oh my goodness, Felicia, that's a lot of calories. Oh my goodness. No, it is not, because you want most of your calories and most of your protein at the earlier portion of the day, because your cortisol is at its highest, and you want to make sure that you are keeping your blood sugar as stable as possible. You could also do, in the mornings, get my bins. If you're a protein smoothie person, I have my NutriBullet up here, and I'll write millions of supplements in here. You guys can see it all. So you can get your NutriBullet, okay? You could do, and everything's in the sink, you could do a smoothie first thing in the morning. You can do 1 to 2 scoops. If you are someone who is not going to have a snack or does not have time for a snack later in the morning, I would recommend doing 2 scoops. Get 50 grams of protein that you can sip on. Add your Sculpt Nation greens, okay? I am not a kale person. I would love to say that I am, but I'm just not. And I'm not going to lie about it, because I think that lying is pointless. So I will put my Sculpt Nation greens in there, and then I'm going to give it a little bit more zhuzh, right? I personally like to use PB2 because it's lower in fat, because fat can stack up, but you can also use peanut butter as a healthy fat. You go, Felicia, I thought nut butter was protein. Common misconception, so you're not alone. This is actually recognized as a fat, okay? Nut butter has protein in it. It does. But when you break it down, it is mainly fat. There's 16 grams of fat compared to the 8 grams of protein, all right? So if you're adding a little bit more girth to your protein shake, so you have 2 scoops of protein, you have your Sculpt Nation greens, that's only sitting around maybe 240. Adding, you could do 2 tablespoons, add 190 to it. You can add chia seeds, flaxseed, really add stuff to it to give it a little bit more sustainable energy. Also get your micronutrients in, easy grab and go. Put it in a smoothie lid cup and out the door you go. So it doesn't have to be overly complicated for breakfast. Maybe you're an avocado toast person. That's great. Be reminded though, that is mainly carbs and then healthy fat. So where's the protein source going to come from? Are you going to add egg on there? Remember, eggs are probably one of the best proteins that you can have, but it is still high in fat. So when picking your foods, be mindful of what you're stacking on top of each other and do not skip on protein, okay? Next, lunch ideas. Meat and cheese roll-ups are great. Have turkey, have cheese. Keep it simple. Make a sandwich. I have sourdough in the fridge, but it's kind of exploding right now, so I'm not going to show it to you. It's kind of embarrassing, but use sprouted bread, okay? 14 grams of whole grains, which you need for that good fiber, right? Do not be afraid of having some healthy carbs there. Stack it with some protein. Maybe you have leftover turkey meat. Maybe you have leftover chicken. Pile that up. Get 4 ounces. Put it on there. Add some cheese or put some mustard on there. Stack with lettuce, tomatoes, whatever. But don't be afraid. Maybe you're a wrap person. Okay, all my child's stuff. Get a spinach wrap. Again, if you are watching your carb intake, you got to be careful how much you're having. This wrap itself is 34 grams and 200 calories. Okay, you can also get low carb. I have smaller low carb wraps, which I use on my moderate day. Easy peasy. They also make really excellent little dipping in some hummus or things like that. But lunch, it does not need to be like reinventing the wheel. If you're trying to stay away from processed meat, that's completely fine. But that's why it's really awesome to make food the night before, make a little extra protein, and go ahead and put that in your sandwich or your wrap the next day. You can also, if you wanted to, if you're desperate, you could have a breakfast sandwich that you make at home with the bread, with the avocado, with some egg, etc. And then for lunch, you could pack your smoothie. But again, it has to have enough protein, fats, and carbs to call it a meal. You can't just be like, oh, I had 2 bites of pizza. No. Oh, I had that donut in the break room. Straight up sugar, okay? So you can find ways. Maybe you need to swap what you have for breakfast and lunch. That's totally fine, okay? Very simple, easy hacks. One thing, I'm gonna share this with you. My husband loves mac and cheese. Obviously, it's not super convenient nor to make it in a pot at school while he's teaching. And I am not a fan of Kraft or anything that has that bright orange cheese. So we opted, and this is our last one, so he really likes it. It's the Banza pasta, the chickpea pasta, and it has 12 grams of protein. And he has his little cup of mac and cheese, and he's a happy camper. It's a great high protein that you can get from the chickpea. It's 12 grams. You could throw in some, if you wanted to beef it up, you could put it in a container. Okay? You want to make it ahead of time, put it in a container, add some ground beef to it, call it a day. You have like your own little hamburger helper in a meal, just like that. So there's lots of fun things that you can do that's not reinventing the wheel. I also recommend putting crunchy veggies in your wrap if you're that kind of person who likes to have like that bite, that almost like a chip sensation. Putting in cucumbers, putting in peppers, excellent idea. have the rainbow, have your apples, having carrots, things like that. The more color that you have throughout your day, the healthier you are going to be, because you're getting in all those different micronutrients through your food in such a colorful fashion that your body can utilize to the fullest, okay? Last but not least, I mentioned before, sheet pans, crock pots, dump it in there. Dump it in and leave. One thing that's really great is you can always get organic. Maybe you're like, Felicia, I would never use frozen, or I would never use cans. Completely fine. It's summertime, so veggies are, fruit and vegetables are everywhere in abundance. Once you get in, though, to seasons where there is nothing being grown locally without a ton of pesticides or being shipped from far, far away, you need to switch to organic bagged veggies, just so you're limiting the amount of chemicals that's on the food, okay? That's the only thing I'll say about that. But right now, you got your variety, use it, toss it with some lemon in your salad, olive oil, it's excellent. But again, crock pot, air fry, it's awesome, all right? So that's where I find the most fun. My kids too, or, finding new ways to make it fun. Pack, I know every school is different. Our school doesn't have like a nut allergy policy in the older grades. So like, I will pack ants on a log. I will pack, hummus in little cups. I'll find ways to make faces. I'll make sandwiches into flowers, whatever, if I'm feeling good. But just focus on, when you're making the meals, whether it's for yourself or your kids, okay, where's my protein source? Is that enough? Where is my fiber source? Is that enough? Where am I getting my healthy fat from? Is it enough? And where is my snack? Where is that? What am I getting it from? How can I be successful? Okay? You keep 25 grams of protein at each meal and one high protein snack. Half of the serving be veggies, okay? Typically lower carbs, so we're not just putting in like French fries, although you can make homemade French fries, but like we're talking high fibrous, low glycemic. If you're focusing on those things, you're going to feel fuller longer throughout the day. You're not going to have those highs and lows in energy. Maybe you find yourself crashing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but then when you eat, you're even more exhausted. That is a snake eating its tail scenario, because when you are not eating consistently, whether because of your job or just you get forgetful, what happens, you're doing this with your blood sugar and your hormones. So then by the time you eat, your body has that spike and that blood sugar crash again, and you're exhausted. And what do you go for? You go for coffee, which is not the worst thing in the world, but I would never recommend it past 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Don't mess up your circadian rhythm, which helps you sleep. So things that I recommend, my husband, I gotta shave my rice too. My husband is a huge soda guy. It's the bane of our marriage, but that's okay. I still love him. I got him, this is our last one, it's a root beer probiotic soda. I found this, honestly, you can get them at Target and Target brand. I got this at Aldi, and I also got one at Lidl. So if you're like someone who is very budget conscientious, and you're like, I can't shop at these bougie stores, I got this for $1.25. And again, it's a probiotic, or it's just, a prebiotic, so it's really excellent. There's really nothing to it. The sugar comes from cane sugar, which is way better than any of the faux sugar that spikes your insulin, drops you, or the chemicals that can down the road cause dementia, Alzheimer's, and cancer. So that's a really fun one. It psychologically doesn't have caffeine, but psychologically, my husband says it does boost his energy, which is really funny. But those are little creative ways that you can, get out of those habits. I'm always excited for my clients when they say, hey, I'm really addicted to, the soda. I have to have it in the afternoon. Otherwise, I cannot function. Well, I always say, like, hey, I'm not here to take the rug out from any of you guys. I'm not telling you all of a sudden, you're doing everything wrong. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to shed some light into your life of, hey, you're doing great. here's how we can take it to the next level. I don't have a rice cooker, and I'm not gonna stand there and boil a pot of water when my kids are running around the house. There's priorities, right? 90-second rice, I have no problem using that. I will make sure that I portion it out. Maybe you want to use a rice cooker, you do that. But I want you guys to know, whatever level you're at or wherever you are in your journey, that's where I want you to gravitate towards. There's good, better, and best. And I just want you to do your best, okay? Maybe meal prepping is, hey, Felicia, you know what? I go to Wegmans, I go to HelloFresh, and I order, and I have them send meals to me already like this. Great. I have plenty of clients who do that. That's totally fine. It'll list the protein, fats, and carbs. And, you know, we work with Trifecta. That's why we have, in Elite, we do the Trifecta codes so you guys can utilize that to the fullest and get an understanding of what it looks like to meal prep and even steal some of those recipes. It's great. But I want you guys to understand that it's okay to have some cheats. It's okay to find some hacks. Like, love tuna in a can. But if you can't drain it where you're at, do tuna in a pouch. Totally fine. You want to add some Worcestershire sauce? Yes, I said that correctly. Or you want to add some hot sauce to your food? Great. Zhuzh it up. You don't need to put a ton of mayo or a ton of heavy caloric fattening sauces. Just give your food a nice rub, right? Season it. This is a steak and brisket rub. Rub it up, cook it. It's good to go. And you can have a really excellent meal and you're not, again, not overextending yourself. I will tell you, it is way more expensive to eat at Chick-fil-A, Chipotle, Hardee's, In-N-Out, Wawa. Am I hitting any of these stores for you? Sheetz, I don't know. But it's, or DoorDash, Uber Eats, it's way more expensive and unhealthy to be going to that as a last case scenario than it is to meal prep. So it might take a little bit of practice and you might do really well one week and the next week is, and that's okay. That's okay. We don't need you to be perfect. I just want you to focus on one thing, guys, going into this weekend. I want you to focus on one meal that you know right now, say it out loud. What meal? Is it breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or snack? Say it out loud. That you need to work better at and find ways to be smarter with how you are looking at the week, okay? And again, you're gonna wind up throwing stuff away. It's par for the course. Or, you know, you drop your food. Stuff happens. But if you can make one significant step towards your meal prepping habits, I'm telling you, your costs will go down, okay? Trust me, I do the groceries. I think we spent $500 this week on food. The cost of groceries will go down. Your stress levels will go down. Your weight will go down. Your muscle will go up. Your happiness will go up. And you will find it to be much more of a stress-free cycle than the opposite effect. So don't leave anything up to chance. Make a plan. Schedule out what looks good for you. If you have a coach, tell them what you want to work on. If you don't have a coach, let me know what you want to work on and we can help you out. But I really appreciate you guys spending this time as I go over these tips and tricks, and I really look forward to seeing you guys again. Have an amazing weekend. I want to know of some other recipes that you have tried as we go, and I will see you guys another time. See ya.